but a multidimensional being that somehow, I call them spirit parasites. Some people call them demons. I try in the book to be, again, completely non-denominational. And again, with all due respect, when we say the word exorcism, we primarily think of the Roman Catholic Church. We think of priests. We think of a little girl with her head spitting around and spitting pea soup.
Yeah.
And we have that context.
All right, let's go back to
exorcism.
Let's get back to Catholic. Hang on. Well, let's get back to. I can't go any further. You mentioned Catholic priests.
Yes.
I got to stop right there so I don't forget. I don't like them. It seems that in every movie, it's the Catholic priest that's casting out the demons and such. Why is that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's become a stereotype. And so I prefer the word spirit parasite rather than demon because it's become so associated with the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And that's why I use that particular term. If someone insists that's a demon, fine. Yeah. But what I'm saying is this type of entity, maybe it's the original vampire. Maybe that's what the spirit parasite is, because it lives on our energy, and it lives especially on fear. But it enters when we're vulnerable. We invite it in. There's kind of a, the classic vampire movies, the vampire can't enter unless it's invited.
Right.
That is a universal occult truth, a metaphysical truth. Mm-hmm. These entities can't enter us unless we invite them, but we invite them in so many ways.
Okay.
By becoming inebriated, by using drugs, by becoming addicted to sex, by greed, by hostility, by anger, by hating our neighbor. We can invite these entities to inhabit us in so many ways, so we have to be cautious. Mm-hmm. So the question of whether they're waiting, pardon me?
Okay, back to the Catholic priests. I was just thinking, couldn't they be considered children parasites?
Oh, I think we have many fine clergy people who are sincerely devoted to their calling. Mm-hmm. And, I don't think we should label, any one group. There have been some
of course not,
unfortunate encouraged, and from the Inquisition on up, perhaps the church has a lot of karma to start paying back.
Okay.
But again, I say, judge not. And, getting back to Jane's worrying about ghosts waiting for people.
Yeah.
I really think that's in the realm of fiction. That's only if you go into a place with a feeling of great apprehension and fear. Fear, you must always remember, is what attracts negative entities.
Okay.
It's always fear.
Okay, so we should, if we feel like there's a haunting, we should start singing Kumbaya?
You bet. Sing Kumbaya or rally around the flag or whatever, whatever works for you. But don't, and whatever you do, don't, unless you really have studied and researched and spent years and years to this field, don't try to communiate.
No.
Don't set up because that's when the spiritual masqueraders will come in.
All right,
that's when the spirit parasites will come in.
All right, back to the Catholic. No, I'm just playing. I'm playing, man. All right, here's a question for you on the Fast Blast. The writer wants to know, have you ever experienced a terrible, sweet, putrid aroma at the site where a suicide has occurred? Are there aromas?
Yes.
Are there aromas that go with that?
Yes.
I smelled one. Yeah.
Yes. You certainly did smell one, didn't you?
Yeah, it smelled like cabbage, but it was really a rotting body. But
right.
So I don't think that was a ghost or anything.
Perhaps generally we could say it is a sweet, putrid smell, as the person said. And yes, it does seem to linger if the person is a sensitive individual, and I hope everyone understands what I mean by that. And you're probably a little more closely tuned to things.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Just a crystal clear silence there for a second. Okay.
Well, yeah. I seem to hear someone kind of talking over us. So
Well, I don't know where that would be unless it's some sort of feedback there. But all right, let's go to another question here, Brad. In the movie Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox, Dr. Brown kept referring to the fourth dimension, where they were giving a prelude of things to come. Is it possible that people can know the future by somebody who's on the other side coming onto this side and telling them?
I would caution. Generally, those are the deceivers. I think what we learn from, and I'm corrected all the time by physicists when I say 5 or 6 or 7. Now I've got people, who are PhDs in physics telling me perhaps as many as I said before, 12 dimensions. I think whenever you have someone coming back and claiming to tell you your future, I think that's a probable future.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think we have to define self-will with our limitations. We know that as we look at the news sometimes, we see how much self-will do we really have. But I think we have it in a general way. It's as if we are destined to go to California, and we live in Minnesota. We can find our way to California in a dozen different ways. So we have choices in that regard. We can do many different ways to achieve a goal. So maybe the goal is in one sense ordained, but our means of apprehending it or gaining it can be very varied. So when someone comes and says, you must do this, and gives an exact and particular Rand McNally cosmic map of how you're supposed to live your life, then I would suggest that you get a second opinion. And then maybe you are a little cautious about entities from the other side who predict the future. And certainly, if it's Uncle Albert, if Uncle Albert didn't know the stock market when he was alive, he doesn't know it any better did.
Yeah, and you can't take it with you. True?
Even Jack Benny, who said if he couldn't take it with him, he wasn't going. He still had to go.
Okay. All right, we have this question. Mr. Steiger, do you think that if a person dies who is possessed by a demon, that the demon can keep that person's spirit imprisoned here on earth and won't let it go to the light?
I'm afraid that is a possibility. That is a possibility, and that's why we certainly try to be helpful in those instances when it appears that is the case. That is the worst case scenario, and I think anyone who is truly devoted to helping, not just ghost chasing for thrills or fun or writing books, but to really help people, that is something you will want to deal with. You will want to, in the best way you can, whether it's through prayer or whether it's through direction, you will concentrate first on helping that poor, apprehended, abused entity to free itself from the spirit parasite. That would be number one.
Okay.
And then go about kicking the butt of the spirit parasite.
Oh, I'm liking that. All right, we have this from Chris. He wants to know, can you communicate with a ghost? And if so, Brad, have you ever communicated with a ghost?
I said earlier, and I'll say it again, I do not recommend it. I do not. You have to be, yes, I have. I mean, that's my business. But what I'm saying is, if you've read a couple books and you've seen a couple TV